Workers have...
If you eat yogurt because you're watching what goes into your body, Dannon suggests you also watch what goes into your yogurt. Because some yogurt makers add things like artificial flavors, artificial color, modified food starch, carrageenan, locust bean gum, guar gum. Maybe it's time to start reading labels again.
Wolf and an Eyewitness News crew took the 2 p.m. shuttle from Washington this afternoon. The flight was on time. However, there were only 18 passengers aboard the DC-9 that seats 99, and those aboard said they were flying only because they had to.
Were you nervous about flying Eastern today?
Very much. I was very nervous.
Why are you here?
Because I have to get home. I have a class this afternoon at 3:30.
Other shuttle flights that flew today were also nearly empty, some jets flying with less than 10 passengers.
And now the story of Robert Machati, killed last Friday, a New York City police officer, the first to die in the line of duty this year, a victim of the drug trade in New York City, a man who died only months before his first child was to be born. Robert Machati was given a hero's funeral in Brooklyn today, and Art McFarland has a report.
The spectacle is becoming all too familiar. Today, some 5,000 police officers in full dress uniform turned out for yet another funeral. This time it was for Officer Robert Machati, a third-generation cop, until last Friday following in the footsteps of his father and grandfather. Machati was allegedly gunned down by an ex-con with a history of violence on a crack-infested corner of Flatbush, Brooklyn.
It's very sad. It's becoming too much of a common occurrence coming to these funerals.
The images today were enough to touch almost anyone's heart. Floral wreath bearing Machati's badge number, the Emerald Society band in ceremonial dress with muffled drums, a team of police helicopters flying over in salute, and the dead officer's family arriving at St. Mark's Church, Machati's wife, Grace Ann, 7 months pregnant with the couple's first child. Inside the church, a priest spoke of forgiveness and of the effort to endure the painful loss, a loss that is felt by thousands.
It's like I lost a family member. It's getting to the point now where you don't know what to do.
The funeral services turned more political than spiritual as both Mayor Koch and Police Commissioner Ward addressed the gathering and repeated their support for the death penalty in cases that involve the murder of a police officer.
After the services, the mayor repeated some of his comments.
The death penalty isn't going to change things. It's just one thing that ought to be available, irrespective of whether it is a deterrent. It's appropriate punishment for some people.
Meanwhile, among New York's finest, there is uncertainty and at least some fear.
I fear every day I put a uniform on that it might someday happen to me.
As one police officer said, he puts on his uniform and goes to work every day because it's the right thing to do. In Brooklyn, Art McFarland, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
In the course of that report, you heard Mayor Ed Koch of New York ask for the death penalty, as he has done for several years past. And as it happens, it appears that New York State is the closest it has been in years to bringing back the death penalty. The state's electric chair has been in rather scary storage since capital punishment was repealed back in 1965. And every year for the past 12 years, the legislature has voted to bring it back, stopped only by the veto of one governor or another. But last night, the Assembly came within 3 votes of having enough support to override a veto by Governor Cuomo. He promises to exercise that veto again.
Death penalty. It didn't work. The whole Western world walked away from the death penalty. Why not try true life imprisonment without parole? No parole under any circumstance.
Really, the legislature is only 1 vote short of approving the death penalty. 2 of the assemblymen who were absent for last night's vote are known to support it.
Dramatic testimony is expected tomorrow in the trial of 3 accused cop killers. The prosecution is expected to call its star witness, a prostitute who claims she saw the murder of Officer Ed Byrne. The anticipated testimony has led to a courtroom controversy. The defense wants the prostitute's name, but the judge says that could be very dangerous.
Judge, would you, as a compromise, ask the district attorney to turn over the information he has today?
No, I will not.
Judge,
I'll tell you why I won't. Because I have been advised that your clients have been making phone calls to witnesses.
Oh, Your Honor,
and I am not going to give you the name of that witness today.
Because I don't know those phone calls.
The defense has argued that the prosecution is paying off its witnesses. 3 alleged drug gang members are charged with killing Officer Byrne. Byrne was gunned down as he guarded the home of a drug witness in South Jamaica, Queens.
Valley Stream on Long Island is the kind of community where kids grow up happy and as secure as you can be when you're young and growing up. Kelly Tinius was growing up in Valley Stream when she was killed the other day. The people of Valley Stream are still hunting for reasons. The police of Valley Stream are hunting for the people who did it. Tim Fleischer has a report.
Just outside the house where the body of Kelly Tinius was discovered, police have set up an elaborate command post, leaving little doubt as to how serious their searches become for the person who killed the teenager. Investigators now wait for what they believe are critical laboratory tests.
A case that's going to be made on actual physical evidence.
Kelly Tinius was first reported missing Saturday. After an intense search of her neighborhood, investigators eventually discovered her body in a basement storage area of this home, several doors from where she lived. Police have questioned 2 brothers, John and Robert Golub, who live here with their parents and are now suspects.
We're both in the house at the time, and you know, we're basically, this is a very confined scene. We have a small one-family residential area, and the body is found in that house, and basically it boils right down to only several people that could possibly be there at the time.
Even though investigators are continuing to wait for those test results, they have still not made an arrest in this case. And in the meantime, friends and family of Kelly Tinius pay their last respects in preparation for her funeral tomorrow. A number of students here at Woodmere Middle School, where Kelly Tinius attended classes, had been offered the benefit of counselors. Many are still upset over this tragedy.
All we have to say is that we love her and we miss her. And that's all we really have to say. I'm sorry.
And for those who knew Kelly Tinius well, the pain of their loss is what they must now share together. Reporting from Valley Stream, Tim Fleischer, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
In other news, a late report just in. Senator Christopher Dodd of Connecticut has just announced that he is going to vote for John Tower for Secretary of Defense. Senator Dodd is the 2nd Democrat to break with his party on this issue. More on the case of John Tower and Senator Dodd coming up on World News Tonight right after our broadcast. John?
And when Eyewitness News continues, Mayor Koch talks about his mother and the tough decisions she had to make during the Great Depression.
And there's some long delays ahead for drivers crossing the George Washington Bridge. In a moment.
At Nissan, our cars are designed with a unique understanding of the how, why, and where of driving. But more importantly, of the who sitting behind the wheel. An understanding that there are still a whole lot of you out there who drive not because you have to, but because you like to. Nissan. Built for the human race.
Over the past 8 years, 15,000 car renters were asked who's the best for clean, dependable cars. In every survey, Hertz came out on top.
Modesty forbids me from taking all the credit.
They were asked who's the best in providing high-quality service. Hertz again.
It was nothing.
And who's the best company overall? You guessed it.
Thank you. Thank you.
About the only thing they weren't asked is who's the best spokesperson.
You're kidding.
At least you have your health.
Even the best mechanics at dealerships and gas stations know if they attempt a complicated transmission job, they'll be in over their heads. So they send it to a transmission specialist, someone at the height of the profession with top-level experience. They send their transmission jobs to Lee Miles Transmissions. And if top mechanics send their transmission problems to someone higher up, shouldn't you? See the yellow pages for Lee Miles. Foreign or domestic, nobody knows transmissions better.
Recently, Car and Driver magazine tested 8 cars under $10,000. They were judged on things like handling, braking, utility, ergonomics, even how much fun they were to drive. And the Volkswagen Golf blew them all away. Now, 4.9% financing is available on all our 88 and 89 Golfs, Jettas, GTIs, and Cabriolets. So come into your Volkswagen dealer today and see what all the noise is about.
His Honor the Mayor has a new book about to be published. Only this time the book is written by Koch and John Cardinal O'Connor. His Eminence and His Honor, the title of the book, gives the views of these two leaders on many issues confronting the city. It also gives some rare insights into the mayor's background, perhaps most movingly on his revelation about the Depression years when his mother had several abortions.
My mother told me and told my sister at a later time that she had had several abortions. Fact is, many women had abortions in those days, and they were all back alley, which is why I support the right of abortion, because abortions will take place no matter what you do.
The 351-page book, which will be in the stores next week, gives the views of the Cardinal and the Mayor on such topics as AIDS, God, government, racism, homelessness, and even Jesse Jackson. The Mayor denied that the timing of the book had anything to do with his upcoming campaign for re-election and his need for support from Roman Catholics.
The book was not my idea. The book was the suggestion of the Cardinal, so it has nothing to do with my election or my campaign.
The mayor, who has promised to be kinder and gentler, saved his most heated attack in the book and at the news conference on the press, who he accused of being afraid to go after public officials who may have had communist activities in their background.
Somehow or other, it's okay to ask someone, why did you belong to the KKK? And I think you should. And you should not vote for them for that reason. But that somehow or other, in your heads, or many of your heads, you don't find the same appropriate, the same distress, the same ability to ask someone why they were a member of the Communist Party. You wouldn't hesitate if they were a member of the Nazi Party.
The mayor, both at the news conference and in the book, said the press knew that one New York legislator had been an active member of the Communist Party but failed to look into the record of the official for fear of being called a red baiter. The mayor became heated when we asked would rooting communists out of the government be part of his upcoming campaign. Anyway, the book goes on sale next week.
There's still some snow on the ground from the biggest snowstorm of the winter so far, so chances are you're not really thinking about the beaches. But several governmental agencies are. Today they announced plans to coordinate their efforts to spot and scoop up debris in New York Harbor this summer. That is, before the debris can wash out and onto beaches from Long Island all the way down to New Jersey. A controversial barge housing prisoners is floating in the harbor tonight. The city corrections commissioner says he needs the barge to house 50 or 60 low-risk prisoners because other jails are so overcrowded. Right now, the barge is docked in the harbor near Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, scheduled to move to the Hudson River and Greenwich Village pretty soon. And high above the Hudson, the delays continue on the George Washington Bridge. Emergency repairs are underway to repair a crack in a support on the ramp leading from the eastbound lower level to the Cross Bronx Expressway. How long will the repairs take? The Port Authority now says Friday, so be patient.
When Eyewitness News continues, we'll go live to Madison Square Garden and we'll have the latest on Mark Jackson and his knee operation. Plus the team from New Jersey that now has a shot at making it to the big college tournament.
Savage. Here's your Pick 6 ticket, Fred.
Only you can make my dreams come true. For it's true, you are my destiny.
Ooh, only you and you alone can thrill me like you do. You're my dream come true, my one and only.
Play New Jersey Pick 6 Lotto, and maybe your dreams will come true.
To fully appreciate the superb handling and performance of Lincoln Mark 7 LSC, the makers of Mark 7 urge you to do these three things. Drive it. Drive it. Drive it. Lincoln. What a luxury car should be.
I love those Kiss the Butcher meats, fresh breads and deli treats.
And now,
President's Choice.
at D'Agostino.
All the wholesomeness you cry for and the taste you're gonna die for.
Dag's President's Choice.
Oh, President's Choice is the news.
At D'Agostino.
So please, Mr. D'Agostino, move closer to me.
This week, Purdue Oven Stuffer Roasters, just 89 cents a pound at D'Agostino.
Songs I grew up with, on the radio, without a lot of interruption. Light FM.
WLTW.
The fashion biz says furs are hot, so why are so many stars shedding their coats? On the next Entertainment Tonight, the fur is gonna fly as we get the inside story on why more and more stars are joining the fight for animal rights.
Hi, I'm Mike Farrell, and this is my friend Jason.
Discover who's speaking up, who's singing out, and who's spreading the word about animal abuse. Stars who fight for animal rights. The inside story on Entertainment Tonight.
Tonight at 7:30, right after Jeopardy, here on Channel 7.
Arthroscopic surgery, a big word. For Mark Jackson and the Knicks, a big question. Corey McFerrin has sports.
Yeah, we will see. It'll be very interesting to see how the team responds. Life without Mark Jackson, something the Knicks will have to get used to very quickly. The Knicks all-star point guard expected to be out at least a month after arthroscopic surgery. It is a big word, on his right knee yesterday. And joining us live from the Garden, where the Knicks take on the Suns tonight, one of Mark's backcourt mates, Trent Tucker. And Trent, what do you really lose as a team without your floor leader, without really the heart and soul of this team, Mark Jackson?
Well, we lose a lot from a very good player and point guard who's taken us to the point where we are today. We miss his leadership. We miss his guidance. You know, he takes the game in control, and he makes sure every player gets to the point where they're supposed to be at. He's just a big leader for him. We're going to miss him dearly.
Trent, let me ask you about Rod Strickland, the man who has to fill Mark's shoes. He played very impressively on Saturday night, 20 points, 14 assists. What do you think about Rod? Can he do the job?
I think he can do the job. I think this is a good opportunity for Rod because we have some ball games at home, so they ease some of the pressure off of him. I think his teammates believe in him. I think the coach believes in him the most, and that will give him a lot of confidence. I think he's capable of giving us a big lift at this time.
All right, Trent, good luck tonight.
Thanks.
All right, Knicks going for 24 straight at home. The NHL trading deadline is over, and believe it or not, Trader Phil, relatively quiet today, comes up with veteran defenseman Lindy Ruff from Buffalo for a draft pick, but that's it. The Islanders send Greg Gilbert to Chicago and Reed Larson to Minnesota for future considerations, and one blockbuster today. The Caps trade Mike Gartner and Larry Murphy to Minnesota in exchange for Dino Ciccarelli and Bob Rouse. All right, how about the fight now? The Macho Man, too much for Boom Boom at Reno last night. Controversial split decision in this fight. Mancini felt like he won it, claimed Camacho was backing up most of the way, but Camacho looks good early, en route to capturing his third world title, the WBO junior welterweight crown.
When I hear split decision, my heart dropped because I won that fight. You know, I went out, wasn't pretty, but I gave the best effort I could, and I thought my effort was better than his.
He fought a great fight. He fought a better fight that we all thought he'll fight. I thought I'll bust him up, and I did. Obviously, the guy got courage, heart, and the desire to be the Macho Man. Yeah!
By the way, that was a Matador's hat he was wearing, in case you were wondering. Okay, the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers, now just one victory away from winning the Atlantic 10 tournament and an automatic bid to the NCAAs. Last night, the Knights pull off a controversial win over Temple. 13 seconds to go in overtime. Let's go there right now. Craig Carson shooting the one-on-one. Rutgers up 2 points. The shot is short, but the referee calls a lane violation. Somebody went in too early, and Temple coach John Chaney is livid. Carson then sinks both free throws, and Rutgers is up by 4. How big was that call? Well, Mark Macon buries the three-pointer. That would have given the Owls the lead if not for the lane violation. Chaney has to be physically restrained by his players here, as you can see. 62-59, Rutgers wins. They'll take on Penn State Thursday for the title and a trip to the tournament. Baseball today, the Mets and the Braves rained out in West Palm Beach. The Yankees take on the Dodgers tonight in Fort Lauderdale. But back to the Rutgers story. It's a great win to the Scarlet Knights. They have a chance to make it to the big tournament.
But a lane violation.
I know, kind of chintzy.
There it is. Wall Street's Dow Industrials average broke through the 2,300 level today and then fell back. Investors began to worry about next Friday's report on unemployment, and the Dow finished at 22,9071, down more than 4 points in active trading of 172,500,000 shares on the New York Stock Exchange.
A lot of cold weather today. When Eyewitness News continues, Sam Champion will be along to tell us how long it's going to stay with us.
Shrouded in secrecy for years, the stealth bomber was finally introduced to the public. For the record, we introduced ours first.
After all those meetings in Minneapolis and conventions in Kansas City, we think you could use a little change of pace. And after 40,000 miles in TWA's frequent flyer program, that's just what you get. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
Because sometimes the shortest distance between 2 points is not a line, TWA created the Advanced Boarding Pass. Today's TWA. Find out how good we really are.
I swear I'm from New York! You gotta believe me!
Ever since Roy started the New York-only chicken deal, people from other cities have been coming here impersonating New Yorkers just to get our chicken.
I got Subway tokens, gold chain!
Not even close, jerk. I mean, yeah, getting a 2-piece dinner and fries for $2.79 is a great deal. But hey, let them get their own deal. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey, we got another one here!
Black and Blue. The critics are calling it Broadway's big new musical hit.
Terrific.
Joyous. Sizzling. Dazzling.
Stylish.
Elegant. Red hot.
Irresistible.
Gorgeous.
Stupendous.
Opulent.
I loved it. I loved it.
Go, go, go. Now to the Minskoff Theater. For tickets, call 246-0102 for Black and Blue.
Hopefully, this is winter's last hurrah. First the snow, now the bitter cold. Could spring be far behind? Sam Champion knows.
Well, we have a little bit warmer each day. I think tomorrow we'll break into the 30s, and maybe the next day, Thursday, into the 40s. The weekend look a little warmer as well. Take a look at 19 degrees out there tonight. So indicating tonight will be another cold one. Relative humidity dry as well. Barometers rising. The winds are from the north-northeast, still a little gusty. Check the day with normal. See how we averaged out. A high of only 25, a low of 13 early in the morning. We'll be near that mark again tonight. So it'll be just as cold. You'll need to bundle up just as much. Now we'll look outside and see where those low temperatures are expected to go to. About 13 degrees in the city. Look out toward the island, find 12 way out toward Montauk. There are some single digits on this map tonight, and it'll be very cold as you work a little bit up the Hudson here. Remember, the winds are still going to be from about 12 to 22 miles per hour, so expect those chills in some cases to be below zero. Right now, the wind chill is about 3 or 4 below zero, so it's going to be bitterly cold tonight as those temperatures quickly start to drop. We've got a lot of clear skies, which will create a lot of cooling out there. Expect those temperatures to really go down. The clouds are just a little bit off the coast for us. This is that storm system that kicked back a lot of snow and even some storms way down in Dixie, tornadoes, thunderstorms, a little ice in Washington, D.C. as well early this morning. It's its last kind of slice, though, right into the Carolinas as it starts to work out. Good news for us is that we've got plenty of high pressure behind it. I don't know how you're going to take this news, is that the temperatures are going to be cold with it right now. These are the readings, 19 again around the city. And look at this, 7 around Buffalo and already in Burlington, Vermont, below zero. That's an actual reading of about 4 below. The big board not showing really any problems to follow it up back there. There are some clouds beginning to build and a little bit of rain in the intermountain west there in the Rockies and a little bit of light snow curling around this low pressure. But that high with the harsh cold air should block all that moisture for us, which means each day now we'll build into a little bit better sunshine out there. So tomorrow, while it's still bitter cold, the skies will look good and all that mess just down to the south of us should stay just down to the south of us, and we'll be in this nice pattern with high pressure and clearer skies for a couple of days now. Luckily, I think with a little luck, we'll make it into the weekend, and we'll even get some warm temperatures to go with that sunshine. Keep your fingers crossed. We will. Partly cloudy, a little cold out there tonight. Temperature about 13 degrees, and that's the best we can find in the city. It'll be cooler north and west. For tomorrow, sunshine and clouds and slightly warmer. We'll get to 30 degrees tomorrow night. A little cool, but 22 is better than 14, and the 5-day plan does show that we could see the 40s by the weekend, like Saturday at 44.
Yes, 22 is better than 14. Thank you, Sam. Finally, a story from Marietta, Georgia. A story about a rocking chair, the Brumby rocking chair. Some people say, in fact, it's the best rocking chair in the world. Jimmy Carter took 5 of them with him from Georgia when he went to the White House. But the Brumby rocking chair has fallen on hard times. The people who make the Brumby can't get the wide, fine, heavy wood that makes the Brumby worth $745. So they're going to stop making them. And a world without Brumbies makes you think about rocking chairs in general. They're a part of our culture, aren't they? We've always had front porches and people sitting on them in rocking chairs, watching the world go by. But we don't have many front porches now, and when you think about it, maybe the world is going by so fast that a rocking chair just can't keep up anymore.
What you need is a rocking horse.
I guess that might help. You're right. Okay. That's our report for tonight. Stay tuned for World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Tonight, Connecticut comes to the aid of John Tower, and no aid yet for Eastern Airlines. For John Johnson, Corey McFerrin, Storm Field, Sam Champion, for all of us at Eyewitness News, I'm Bill Butel. Cotty Tong and I'll have the news at 11. For now, good luck and be well.
Good night.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the strike against Eastern Airlines and its effect on the overall air transportation system. This is the fourth day of the strike against Eastern by the airline's machinists and baggage handlers who are supported by Eastern pilots. Eastern has failed in court today to force its own pilots back to work. President Bush said that he would not get involved. The president did appeal to the pilots of other airlines not to slow down deliberately to show their support for the Eastern strike. And as there was bad weather in parts of the country, it has been hard to tell if those other pilots are consciously working to rule or the weather is to blame for any delays. This is a very tough labor dispute. And our first report is from ABC's John Quinones.
The latest blow to the troubled airline came late today at the Miami Federal Courthouse. Eastern had argued that unless its pilots were forced back to work, the company would face bankruptcy. But tonight, a federal judge ruled that the pilots' walkout is legal. Eastern attorneys say the ruling could spell the end of the airline. Earlier today, the airline announced it's operating just 4% of its normal schedule. But even those flights are in trouble. The shuttle between New York, Boston, and Washington is averaging just about a dozen passengers per flight.
11 people, all in first class, practically a stewardess to every passenger.
In Miami, Eastern's overnight flight to South America was canceled last night. Company officials say few people will fly an airline in the midst of a strike.
Our bookings are essentially all gone. We are in the process of shutting down reservations offices because there are no calls coming in.
The company announced the immediate furlough of 2,500 more employees, in addition to the 7,000 furloughed yesterday. The airline is left with just 1,500 employees nationwide, compared to 31,000 before the strike. The workers who were given their last paychecks today blame the striking machinists and the pilots for the loss of their jobs.
They make $100,000 or more a year. Us poor little guys who make $25,000 are getting the shaft from them in plain English.
This afternoon, the laid-off workers angrily confronted the union pickets in a shouting match outside Eastern headquarters.
We got the pilot! We got the pilot!
This evening, the machinists and the pilots are calling today's federal court ruling a victory. In Texas, attorneys for Texas Air, Eastern's parent company, are now reportedly seriously considering filing for bankruptcy. John Quinones, ABC News, Miami.
That reference in Miami to Eastern filing for bankruptcy reflects a very real option for Eastern's management, which tonight is counting its cash and trying to figure out whether, court order or not, it can get its pilots back to work. We are told that filing for bankruptcy is not a likely option in the next day or two. Eastern's longer-term problems by any measure are grave. Here's our business correspondent, Stephen Ogg.
Even with most of its fleet grounded by the strike, Eastern has fixed costs. Interest and principal payments on its $2.3 billion debt. Rent for its ticket offices, airport gates, and aircraft cost about $14 million a month. Wages for even a skeleton staff, about $1 million a month. Refunds on unused tickets, that could run as high as $350 million. Eastern began the year with an estimated $402 million on hand. But the real cost to Eastern is the steady loss of market share as Eastern customers begin using other airlines.
I think there's a very strong possibility that Eastern Airlines, as we know it, or as we knew it last week, may never come back.
So for Eastern and its boss, Frank Lorenzo, declaring bankruptcy may have some advantages. The company could reorganize, or it could simply sell everything. Airplanes, landing and takeoff slots at some of the busiest airports, maintenance facilities, valuable routes. By some estimates, that could raise $2 or $3 billion, enough to pay off the debts with a few $100 million left over. And that would go to Frank Lorenzo and his other operations. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, Washington.
We're going to come back and talk about the president. He gave a news conference today. He was asked about John Tower and his own performance. And a little later in the broadcast, we'll have a report on a crackdown against illegal hunters in the Southwest and America's dismal record on infant mortality.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings, brought to you by Advil.
When my arthritis pain acts up, even little things are a big effort. But I don't take aspirin anymore. I take Advil. Advil is the brand many doctors recommend for hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. You know, just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. And Advil doesn't upset my stomach the way aspirin sometimes can. So now, I don't even have to think about arthritis. Advil, tablets and caplets, advanced medicine for pain.
Ordinary windows versus windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. Windows, windowscaping. See the windowscaping experts only at the Pella Window Store.
See the colors of Puerto Rico, colors, colors everywhere. Puerto Rico, the